Class, today we're going to be studying rational expressions when we add and subtract them. We are going to be able to simplify rational expressions, simplify complex fractions, and add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational expressions. Before we can do anything with rational expressions, we first need to review how to add and subtract them. Let's think of a basic fraction. How about 1/2 plus 3/10? In order to add or subtract fractions, I have to have a common denominator, which means that I need to look at the denominators of both fractions. The common denominator between 2 and 10 is 10. So I need to manipulate this first fraction by multiplying the numerator and denominator by 5/5. The first fraction now becomes 5/10, which is the same thing as 1/2, plus 3/10, which did not have to change because it already had the proper denominator. And I add the numerator, so I get 8/10, which reduces to 4/5. The same concept holds true for subtracting. If I have 1/2 minus 3/10, again, I have to have a common denominator. The denominator is still 10, which means that I need to multiply this fraction by 5/5 to change it to 5/10. 5/10 minus 3/10, we simply subtract the numerators to get 2/10. Let's apply this concept to a situation that involves variables. When you're adding and subtracting, you need to have common denominators. The first step for you should be to factor if you can, because that'll save you problems later on. In this case, both of my denominators are factored. So I want to think about what the common denominator between these two should be. It's a little bit more complicated than just multiplying by 2. The common denominator has to be x minus 3 times 3x plus 4. So looking at this first fraction, I see that it needs the 3x plus 4. So this first fraction is going to get multiplied by 3x plus 4 over 3x plus 4. Which will then be x times 3x plus 4. And then the denominator 3x plus 4 times x times 3. Now the second fraction. This fraction needs the x minus 3 portion of the denominator. So I will multiply the numerator and denominator by x minus 3. So I have 2 times x minus 3. And then denominator is 3x plus 4 multiplied by x minus 3. I am not going to distribute the denominator out. I'm going to leave it factored because it might be able to cancel later on. Now that I have common denominators, I'm going to combine the two fractions into one fraction. Again, I'm not going to distribute the bottom, but for the top, I need to simplify it. So I'm going to distribute. Make sure that you keep the negative sign with the 2. So when I distribute the first term, I have 3x squared plus 4x minus the second one distributed, which would be 6x plus 2x plus 3. forget to copy down your denominator again, even though it doesn't change. Now on the top of this fraction, I'm going to combine my terms. So I have the positive 4x and negative 2x, which will make positive 2x. And then I want to be able to simplify if I can, so I should factor if I can on the top. Multiply the first and last term, so 3 times 6 is 18. Factors of 18 that add to give you 2. The only factors are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. So there are none. The top doesn't factor. Oh. So my answer is just 3x squared plus 2x plus 6 over 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. And you don't have to distribute the denominator. We are going to look at this one further in class. So write it down and be prepared to talk about it in class tomorrow.